Hello and welcome to Likoul English lessons for secondary school. So today I'm your teacher Louisa Alag, and we're going to see a text and questions, obviously, an exam paper. Let's begin. So باش pour entrer تقوم بتسجيل دخول عبر الرابط www.likoul.dz/inscription، ثم ادخل حسابك، ثم اختر المباشر من القائمة، ويمكنك مشاهدة البث المباشر. ليكول by أريد is sponsored by Artos Entertainment Your Way, Vickery Watches and Jewelry, Aljazairiya One, and Simboys. Text content. It is a common truth today that publicity has a harmful effect on the individual. The aggressivity from advertisements grows threatening in affluent societies. Whenever you are, or wherever you go, and practically at any moment of the day or night, advertisements are there waiting for you. In the street, at home, in offices, at schools, stadiums, the sky, practically every inch of the earth and its hostile environment is a battlefield, where advertisements are constantly offending man's peace. The impact of publicity is greater on the poor, deprived people than on the average working class family. The first are in need of almost every kind of modern comfort, consumption goods, travels, and to mention a few of their unsatisfied necessities. The latter, on the other hand, do not at all escape the negative effect of publicity. They are victims too. They are slaves of fashion, new products, and consumer goods, and cannot live without them. However, at this level, mainly when the poor deprived categories of society are in real need, the temptation grows stronger and stronger, and if it's not checked, it becomes a titanic task to resist it, mainly when the family and other social institutions are missing. So I will repeat the text again. It is a common truth today that publicity has a harmful effect on the individual. The aggressivity from advertisements grows threatening in affluent societies. Wherever you are or wherever you go, and practically at any moment of the day or night, advertisements are there waiting for you. In the street, at home, in offices, at schools, stadiums, the sky, practically every inch of the earth and its hostile environment is a battlefield, where advertisements are constantly offending man's peace. The impact of publicity is greater on the poor, deprived people than on the average working class family. The first are in need of almost every kind of modern comfort, consumption goods, travels, and not to mention a few of their unsatisfied necessities. The latter, on the other hand, do not at all escape the negative effects of publicity. They are victims too. They are slaves of fashion, new products, and consumer goods, and cannot live without them. However, at this level, mainly when the poor deprived categories of society are in real need, the temptation grows stronger and stronger. And if it's not checked, it becomes a titanic task to resist it mainly when the family and other social institutions are missing. Moving on. So, part 1, reading and interpreting. So, for the comprehension part, the first question is, are these statements true or false? So, we're going to state whether the following sentences are true or false according to the text. So, A, publicity does not have dangerous effect on people. B, advertisements are everywhere. C, poor people are the most to be affected by advertisements. Question number 2. Read the text and answer the following questions. 1. Does publicity reach people everywhere? Give examples. Question number 2. How does advertisement affect the average working class families? So, again, the questions are to state whether the following statements are true or false. So we have A, publicity does not have dangerous effects on people. B, advertisements are everywhere. C, poor people are the most to be affected by advertisements. And question number 2, read the text and answer the following questions. Question number 1, does publicity reach people everywhere? If so, give examples. Question number 2, how does advertisement affect the average working class families? So, publicity is the same as advertisements. They have the same meaning. They're synonyms. Another question. What or who do the underlined words refer to in the text? So, we have the first, which is found in the second paragraph. B, the latter, as well in the second paragraph. There, in the second paragraph, and they, which is also found in the second paragraph. Question 4. In which paragraph is it mentioned that publicity can be found in all places? Question number 5. Circle the letter that corresponds to the right answer. So over here we have the text is A, expository, B, an argumentative text, or C, a narrative text. So you have to read the text carefully and state what type of text is it. Is it an expository, an argumentative, which has a personal opinion and the author is fighting and giving arguments for his certain opinion, or is it a narrative text, which is it's like telling a story? Yes, Abdul Karim, it's an expository. So question number 6, give a title to the text. So over here, we have to give an appropriate title to the text. Next, over here we're going to have 2 columns, one A and one B. So in the first column, we have words, and then in the second column, column B, we have their definitions. So we have to match. So match the words from column A with their definitions from column B. So we have overweight, healthy, overeat, and calories. And then we have their definitions, which are: number 1, unit for measuring the energy of food. Number 2, to eat more than you need. Number 3, to be heavy and fat. Number 4, having good health and not likely to become ill. So, does overweight mean unit for measuring the energy of food, or to eat more than you need, or to be heavy and fat, or does it mean having good health and not likely to become ill? Same thing for healthy. Does healthy mean statement number 1, or definition number 2, or definition number 3, or definition number 4? C, overeat, does the same thing, and the D, calories. So Abdul Karim said B with 4. Yes, that's correct. A with 3, overweight, to be heavy and fat. Well done. And think about the others as well. So over here for this question we have rewrite the sentences to express the functions between brackets. So we have the Algerian government will impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. So over here we have the sentence, and we want to express possibility. So rewrite the sentence to express possibility. Food safety may be one of the major problems in the next decade. So over here they want you to express certainty. So rewrite this sentence in order to express so that it expresses certainty. Next we have complete the table. So we have a table, as you can see. Which questions don't you know what they mean? Okay, I'll go back. I think it's not clear. So we have 2 sentences. So the first, I'll read it again. The Algerian government will impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. So we have this sentence, and we want you to rewrite it, to restructure the sentence in order that it expresses possibility. Same thing for the second one. So we have food safety may be one of the major problems in the next decade. So restructure or rewrite this sentence so that it expresses certainty. So moving back to the table. So over here we have a table with nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So for the first case, they have given you the noun. So you have to find the verb and its adjective. For the second word, they didn't give you the noun, they gave you the verb to advertise. And for the last word, we have economy. So production, we need the verb and then the adjective. You're welcome, Abdul Karim. And and to advertise is the verb. So what is asked from you is to give the noun and its adjective. And economy is the noun. The verb is what we're looking for, and its adjective. Question number 4. Put a stress mark on the following words. So stress is where we emphasize on a certain syllable. So we have, like, for example, a word like to export. So to export is a verb. Export has 2 syllables. So export. So I have this method which is called a clapping method. So whenever you read out a noun, any kind of word, so you just clap to, like, it's just clapping to the beat. So like I said, export. Word like beautiful, beautiful. So when you count the syllables and then you split your word, like over here, I'll give you the word beautiful. So, as we said, beautiful. So it has 3 syllables. So we have beautiful. So 1, 2, and 3. So over here, we have to find where it's stressed. So when we have beautiful, the stress mark is on the last syllable. So we're emphasizing on that certain syllable. So on the following words, so we have the word publicity, export, the verb, economic, production, and export. So I'll read them again, nice and clear. So we have publicity, export, economic, production, and export. Question number 5. So we have fill in the blanks using the following words. So we have garlic, proud, making, and it. So over here we have a small paragraph and it's missing some words. So you have to fill in the blank spaces with the given words. So many people use. Do we fill this blank with garlic, proud, making, or it? So many people use ... for flavoring meat and for ... medicine that reduces cholesterol. People often buy ... when they do their shopping. Being a garlic eater is something to be of. It shows that you enjoy healthy living. In the baccalaureate exam, we will not have a teacher. Yes, I know, Ismail. In the baccalaureate exam, we will not have a teacher to read to us. I know, but I'm just helping you. So I'm reading out the words so that you can distinguish, and then you can try practicing at home by yourself, or have a list of words that are already done, and just read them out and try to find where the stressed syllable is. So many people use, yes, well done. The first answer is garlic. So part 2, written expression. Some people think that the radio is a less effective advertising mean. Discuss. So in the text, we had the main subject. We were talking about publicity and advertising, and one mean or one way to advertise. So we have advertisements on TVs, banners outside. On those banners can be in the sky or stuck on buses, or like posters stuck on buses. Again, in the TV and in radio. So radio is an audio way to advertise. So what is asked from you is to discuss, talking about advertising using the radio. And people think that the radio is a less effective advertising mean. Well, Abdul Karim says, I don't know how to write a paragraph. I haven't the method to write it. It's not, you don't need a certain method. Well, there is a structure for a paragraph. So we have an introduction, an introduction, and then the body of your paragraph, and then we have an outro or conclusion. So in the introduction, you just try to find a smooth way to introduce the subject that you're going to talk about. And then in the body, that is where we talk about the subject that we're talking about. And then for the conclusion, you just write a brief. Yes, that's the development. That's the body of the paragraph. So we are going to see the correction. But before we correct and answer the questions, I'm going to go back and reread the text so that you can remember what we had. Sorry, it's taking some time. I don't know whether... There it is. There's the text. So, I'll reread it. It is a common truth today that... Okay, you're welcome, Abdul Karim. It is a common truth today that publicity has a harmful effect on the individual. The aggressivity from advertisements grows threatening in affluent societies. Whenever you are or wherever you go, and practically at any moment of the day or night, advertisements are there waiting for you. In the street, at home, in offices, at schools, stadiums, the sky, practically every inch of the earth and its hostile environment is a battlefield, where advertisements are constantly offending man's peace. The impact of publicity is greater on the poor, deprived people than on the average working class family. The first are in need of almost every kind of modern comfort, consumption goods, travels, and not to mention a few of their unsatisfied necessities. The latter, on the other hand, do not at all escape the negative effect of publicity. They are victims too. They are slaves of fashion, new products, and consumer goods, and cannot live without them. However, at this level, mainly when the poor deprived categories of society are in real need, the temptation grows stronger and stronger, and if it is not checked, it becomes a titanic task to resist it, mainly when the family and other social institutions are missing. So, again in the text, we spoke about publicity and its effects on the individual. So they said that it grows. So in the first paragraph, we're talking about how it's growing and threatening our society. So they said, whenever you go or wherever you go, and practically at any moment of the day or night. So it's saying that advertisements are everywhere. So when you wake up, so whenever you're listening to the radio, whenever you're watching TV, they're everywhere. In the street, at home, in offices, at schools, stadiums, even the sky. Yes, people, there are advertisements in the sky. Not in our country, but in other countries there are. So they said practically every inch of the earth and its hostile environment is a battlefield, where advertisements are constantly offending man's peace. The second paragraph is talking about the impact of publicity. So they're saying that it has a greater impact on the poor people than on the average working class family. So the poor people are in need of almost every kind of modern comfort. So they have loads of needs, and so the advertisements have an effect on them. Whereas the latter which they're talking about, the working class family, they don't escape from the negative effect of publicity, which means they are affected too. So they are victims as well. They are slaves of fashion and new products. So anything that is new, that has come out to the market, they just buy. They're shopaholics. Shopaholics means they just buy anything and spend, sometimes waste their money on any product that is out there. And consumer goods. And like I said, a shopaholic cannot live without them. So in the last paragraph, we spoke about however, at this level, mainly the poor deprived categories. So they're in real need. The poor people are in real need they have more needs than working class people. So the temptation and the need to buy stuff and get stuff grows stronger and stronger. And if publicity is always there, it will have a really bad impact on them. So going back to the questions. And please don't be shy to ask any questions. I'm here to explain. So, correction of part 1. They asked us to state if the statements were true or false. So, a recap, we had A. Publicity does not have dangerous effects on people. Is this true or false? Advertisements are everywhere. Is this statement true or false? And for the last statement, poor people are the most to be affected by advertisement. Is this sentence true or false? So, we have, for the first one, it is false. It has a dangerous effect on people. Like we said, it has a bad impact on them. It affects them really badly, especially if it is repeated over and over again, and especially if the family doesn't have a good income or they are poor. Second, it is true. So advertisements are everywhere. So they said in the text that that advertisements or publicities are found in schools, in the street, at home. So at home, whether you're listening to the radio or watching TV, stadiums, banners, and sponsors, those are all advertisements. And in the street as well, wherever we go, and also in the sky. As for the last statement, poor people are the most to be affected by advertisement. That is true. As we said, they are living on a low income. They don't have that much money coming in. So if advertisements and publicities are repeated over and over again, like for example, like whenever children, they are young, they don't understand when like their family doesn't have a good income. And then they keep bugging their parents to buy them something, and they just can't. They don't have that much money, so it affects them really badly. As for the second question, does publicity reach people everywhere? And they asked to give examples. So for the first part, we have does publicity. So over here we have to answer with either yes or no. If yes, they asked us to give examples. So yes, publicity reaches people everywhere. How? How does publicity reach us everywhere? So as we said, in the street, at home, in offices, at schools. Yes, there are publicities at schools, even if you haven't noticed them, and in stadiums. So those were the examples from the text. As for, well done Ismail, at the street, at home, yes, that's the correct answer. As for the second question, how does advertisement affect the average working class families? So we said that it affects the poor people, the poor class, the lower class families, and also the average class families, the working families. So how does it affect them? How, as we said, as it was mentioned in the text, they said they are slaves of fashion. So we know what slave means. Whenever like as we had slaves in the Americans, like the whites used to use black people as slaves. That was just an example of fashion. Fashion, clothes and shoes, that's fashion. New products and consumer goods, and cannot live without them. That makes them slaves. If you can't live without something, you are automatically a slave of it, but not in the bad way. So question number 3. What or who do the underlined words refer to in the text? So we had the word the first. I think it was in the second paragraph. So at first we were talking about the poor people. So we were talking about the poor. The latter, yes, the working class family. So when we had that sentence, when they were talking about the poor and the working class family, they instead of repeating this word, the poor, we used the first. So these words are used to avoid repetition. So we use the first referring to the poor, and the latter which referred to the working class family. As for C, there refers to the poor, and they, again, also refers to the working class family. So imagine if we didn't use these words, then repetition would have occurred in the paragraph. As for question number 4, in which paragraph is it mentioned that publicity can be found in all places? So they mentioned in the text, that publicity could be found everywhere. So remember, as we said, in the street, at home, at schools, in stadiums, in the sky, like practically everywhere. If we remember, it was mentioned in paragraph number 1. So it was in paragraph number 1 where we said that publicity can be found in all places. It's not written. I'll write it for you. It's in paragraph 1. So, question 5. They asked for the type of the text. So was it an expository, or an argumentative text, or a narrative text? The answer is an expository. So we had a subject, we spoke about it, and contrary to argumentative and narrative, so as we said, argumentative, we have an opinion. The author gives an opinion about a certain subject, and he starts fighting or talking about it using some arguments. As for C, narrative is just telling a story. We use loads of adjectives. And we use the past tense, especially the past tense in narrative form. As for an expository, it's generally in the present. So narrative is in the past, and we use adjectives, and it's basically like telling a story, like I said. And 6, the title. So for an example, this is just an example, we could have used simply advertisements or publicity. Over here we have the negatives or drawbacks or disadvantages of publicity. So negatives and drawbacks and disadvantages are all synonyms. They all have the same meanings. So we could have used one of those words of publicity or of advertisements. In text exploration, we had matched the words with the definitions. So we had the 4 words: overweight, healthy, overeat, and calories. So being overweight, what does it mean? It means to be heavy and fat. Whenever someone is overweight, that means their weight exceeds the average weight of a human being depending on their height. So it means being heavy and fat. Abdul Karim said, yes, you can use just the word advertisement because we are talking about advertisements and publicities. But it would be better to say the negative impacts or disadvantages of advertisements. Coming back, so we have healthy. What does healthy mean? Healthy means having good health and not likely to become ill. So healthy means whenever you have a healthy diet, that means you eat loads of fruit and vegetables. You have a balanced diet, which means that you're balancing between meat and poultry, the dairy products, fruit and veg, and fats. So you have to avoid junk food and fast food and stay on a good, healthy, balanced diet. And if you succeed in having a good, healthy, balanced diet, you are not likely to become ill or sick. So you avoid most illnesses. So as for C, overeat. To overeat means to eat more than you need. So whenever someone overeats, so we know that we have 3 meals a day. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can maybe have a snack in the evening, but just something light. So whenever someone overeats, he doesn't have a limit. So whenever that person wakes up in the morning, he eats. If he gets hungry at around 10 or 11, he eats again. They have lunch, and they will have a huge, big portion. So it's eating more than you need. So your body needs a certain amount of food, and whenever someone exceeds that limit, they become overweight. As for calories, it is a unit for measuring the energy of food. Like for example, to measure height or length, we use meters, or the weight, we use kilograms or pounds. So calories is a unit to measure the energy of food. So in food we have energy inside of it, and the unit for measuring that energy is calories. Next, we had rewrite the sentences to express the given functions. So they gave us a sentence. I'll read it again. The Algerian government may impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. So over here, they have asked us to express possibility. So we will rewrite or restructure this sentence in order so that it expresses possibility. So the answer is I don't think that they've given us the answer. So I'll write it again. Algerian government may impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. For example, we would just add, it is possible it's just a simple mistake. We have forgotten to write it in that. So it is possible that the Algerian government may impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. As for the second sentence, food safety will certainly be. So this is an example. So may impose. This is the possibility. And this is the second suggestion. So food safety will certainly be, or certainly is, one of the major problems in the next decade. So this sentence expresses certainty. As for the first, the Algerian government may impose an eco-tax on polluting industries next year. So it is possible that the Algerian government will impose an eco-tax on polluting industry next year. As for the next question, they asked us to complete the table. So we had nouns, verbs, and adjectives. For the first case, they gave us a noun, production. Its verb is to produce. As for the adjective, we will add a suffix, productive. So we had product, then we added IVE, which gave us productive. As for the second word, they gave us a verb. So to advertise, the noun of the verb to advertise is advertisement. As for its adjective, advertised. So over here we're just playing with prefixes and suffixes, mainly suffixes. So the noun economy, the verb is to economize, and its adjective is economic or economical. So we have two possibilities over here. So we have either economic, we add the suffix IC. Yes, Ismail, to produce, productive. Très bien. And economic and economical. So with the first we added IC, and the second it was CAL. As for stress mark, the first word we had export. So it's a noun. So it was in the first syllable. So over here we have export. So we put stress, we emphasized on the first syllable, not on the second. So this word splits into two. The first syllable and the second syllable. The stress is on the first. As for the verb, export, here again we have two syllables. No, the noun, we can't say advertise. Advertise, Abdel Karim, is a verb. Advertisement is the noun. So advertise, we can put it in the past. That's a verb. A verb is whenever we can take that verb and use it in a certain tense. As for a noun, it's not a noun. Advertise is not a noun. So again, export. The verb, we put stress on the second syllable. The PORT. Publicity. Publicity So we have publicity. This word has 4 syllables. As for the stress, it is on the second syllable. So publicity. That is how we pronounce the word. We emphasized on the second syllable. Temptation. Again, temptation. It's a 3-syllable noun. And the stress, the emphasizement was going on the second syllable. As for economic, so economic, 4-syllable noun, 4-syllable adjective, and the stress we emphasized on the second syllable. Production, again, production, a 3-syllable word. The stress is on the second one. Next we had, they gave us a paragraph and they asked us to fill in the blanks. So I'll read it again. Many people use garlic for flavoring meat and for making medicine that reduces cholesterol. People often buy it when they do their shopping. Being a garlic eater is something to be proud of. It shows that you enjoy healthy living. So, remember when we spoke about being healthy and having a healthy diet? Garlic is one of the main foods that shows that you enjoy eating healthy. It's good for your health. They use it for flavoring. It has a strong, delicious taste, and it's used for making medicine. So in the old days, before technology was represented to mankind, they used garlic as medicine. So moving on to the written expression, they asked us about, so the subject was the radio, that it doesn't have a good impact when advertisements using radio doesn't have a good impact on people. So they asked us to discuss about that. So this is just an example. I'll read it. While many people may view radio as a less popular medium than the internet or television, the truth is that radio still manages to penetrate areas of our daily lives still off limits to other media. Consumers can listen to the radio in their vehicles, in waiting rooms, in many restaurants, and a number of grocery stores. Radio advertising targets that captive audience through a series of 30-second or 60-second spots which promote products or services in a memorable way. Radio advertising is based on the idea of creating an audio-only environment and placing the listener inside of it. A typical radio spot features a professional voice-over artist reading descriptive copy of an appropriate bed of background music. Important information may be repeated several times over the course of the spot, such as contact phone numbers, addresses, website URLs, or a geographical reference. As one of spot radio advertising ends, As one spot of radio advertising ends, another spot begins, and the process continues until the program resumes. So if we go back to the subject, Okay. So they said that some people think that the radio is a less effective advertising mean. So they said it doesn't, like, advertising using radio doesn't get its job done. So it doesn't target anyone. So people, like, for example, they think that people don't listen to the radio nowadays. So that's why it doesn't target anyone. And it's not effective. It is a less effective advertising mean. So for the example that was given, it proves the opposite. So while many people may view radio as a less popular medium than the internet or television, that may be true, but, however, the truth is that radio still manages to penetrate areas of our daily lives, still off limits to other media. So over here, they said that it's less popular than the internet or the television, but it still manages to penetrate our areas of our daily lives. So it still manages to reach to the consumer. So they said that consumers can listen to the radio in their vehicles, in waiting rooms, in many restaurants that play the radio, and a number of grocery stores. So in the grocery stores, they use the radio to put on music, and between 2 or 3 songs, they pause for a commercial break. And in that commercial break, it's advertising and publicity. So it captives. So over here, they are describing how it happens. They're explaining it. Radio advertising targets that captive audience through a series of 30-second or 60-second spots, which promotes products. So they are advertising about products or services in a memorable way. So in a way that captivates so radio is obviously an auditive way to reach the consumer. So when you advertising using a radio, people are going to listen to it. So it is kind of hard to advertise. So advertisement, when people see an advertisement, it captivates them. However, using the radio, it's kind of tricky to make the consumer like the advertisement, because we can't see. We generally rely on our visual, our eyes, our sight, more than our ears, than our auditive sense. So it advertises it in a memorable way. So radio advertising is based on the idea of creating an audio only, so it captivates our ears, environment, and placing the listener inside of it. So a typical radio spot features a professional voiceover artist. So they bring someone that has an attractive voice, either being a man or a woman. Generally, it's a woman's voice, who speaks well and has an attractive voice, and it is reading a descriptive copy. So they have a copy of that advertisement over an appropriate bed of background music. So we can listen to some music which isn't as loud as the professional voice, as the artist's voice. So we can listen and understand what the artist is saying. But to captivate us, they always put some music in the background. Otherwise, it will be boring and not captivate anyone. So it won't attract anyone. and it will not make it memorable. So, important information. So this is what is put in the advertisement. So important information may be repeated several times over the course of the spot, such as phone numbers, so in order to contact that certain service or that certain company, or how to purchase a certain good or product, addresses, so where, if you like, for example, they're advertising about some clothes, so where to go buy those shoes or those trousers, a website URL to get more information, or a geographical reference, which is the same as address. So, as one spot of radio advertising ends, as soon as one advertisement ends, another spot begins and the process continues until the program resumes. So, over here they said that as soon as, whenever, if you haven't realized, you haven't remarked, that whenever advertisements are putting out to us, they're put one after the other. So we have one advertisement, then the next, and so on until the program resumes. So if we, like, you know what I mean. Okay, thank you for listening. This has been a English test by Louisa Alag, your teacher Louisa Alag, and Likoul by Uridu is sponsored by Arcos Entertainment Your Way, Viceroy Watches and Jewelry, قناة الجزائرية 1, Symbiose Environment. And to access, alors عندنا une page Facebook concernant, because I have answered only only questions from our platform Likoul. So we have a Facebook page called Likoul Algérie. So if you have any questions, go click on group, and then, so if you're a brevet exam, so if you have brevet exam BEM 2018, yes we can avec Likoul. Or if you're a baccalaureate student, we have bac 2018, yes we can avec Likoul. And hopefully we will answer your questions. Be there for a new life. Thank you very much.